Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Ollie. I'm a junior doctor living and working in England. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about locuming. It's one of those really common questions that I get asked about working as a newly qualified and F1 doctor in England. Can I locum? Can I work locum shifts as an F1 doctor? And this usually comes in the context of someone saying, well, actually, I've been told that F1s can't locum, yet I see all of these F1s talking about locums and appearing to work locum shifts. So what's going on? What is the reality of the situation? Now, I've made a full video before talking about what exactly a locum shift is and why you perhaps might want to work one, and you can go and watch that video here. I'll leave the link in the description below. But the very quick, rough and ready explanation is that if a ward needs another doctor of a particular grade, let's say they need 2 F1 doctors to staff a ward on a given day, and then one of them is sick or needs to take annual leave for some reason, you still need 2 doctors, so you need a locum doctor, a doctor that can take the place of that doctor at the same grade or higher that would normally be there. So basically a locum doctor fills the slot and assumes the duty of the regular doctor that would normally be there. And because you're taking on additional duties and filling in for a department often on short notice, these locum shifts come with a significant pay premium of usually 2 to 3 to 4 times your usual NHS wage. What makes F1 doctors, like me for example, I'm just finishing up my F1 year, so in a few short weeks I'll be an F2, an SHO, but for the moment and throughout all of this year I've been an F1. What makes us different is that we cannot practice medicine independently. We are provisionally registered with a license to practice with the GMC, the General Medical Council. Or to put it very simply, we do not have our full medical license. Just like your provisional driver's license, the blue one doesn't allow you to drive independently by yourself, making your own decisions. Your provisional medical registration does not allow you to practice medicine independently and make all of your own decisions. Fundamentally, to keep things really simple, what this means is that as an F1 doctor, you are not entitled to practice medicine outside of the confines of your training post. That is to say that under normal circumstances you cannot act outside of a department in which you work, and certainly not outside your trust. So can you locum in the truest sense of the word, as in could you sign up with a locum agency and go and do locum shifts in another hospital in another part of the country? No, you can't, to put it very simply. You are not free to go and work exactly where you want because that would break the terms of your provisional registration. What you can do, however, and this is the reality of the situation, is that you can sign up to what's called the internal bank within your hospital, within your trust. And this is more or less the same process of signing up to a locum agency. However, instead of going through a locum agency to find doctors and nurses and other types of staff to work the shifts you need, the trust operates what's called an internal bank of staff that are willing to do extra hours and will usually put the shifts to them first. Because it's handled internally, the trust will not pay the additional fees incurred by using the locum agency, so effectively, if doing it internally, the trust will get the best price for the doctors and nurses and other staff that it needs. So how do I actually go about locuming as an F1? Well, the general rule is that if you have worked in that department during one of your 3 F1 jobs, then you understand the department, you've worked there before, you know what is expected of you, then you can pick up internal locum shifts there. Or secondly, you may have covered that department when on call. Now, this isn't necessarily as restrictive as it sounds, because if you think about the typical F1 combination of jobs that you will do, you will actually work in a very wide range of departments anyway. Thinking just about my F1 jobs, I started in general surgery, so I was working primarily in hepatobiliary surgery and transplant, so I could locum there if I wanted. I was also, as part of that job, doing on-calls in colorectal surgery and vascular surgery, so I got used to those departments as well. So just from one job, that's 3 places I could potentially work, not just at my hospital, but the other one within the same trust as well, because there are 2 big tertiaries in the trust where I work. Then my second job of F1, which was my academic rotation, I did general medicine on-calls. So as part of that, both in hours and at the weekend, I was covering everywhere, like cardiology, respiratory, gastro, Jerry's or older people's medicine, neurology, out of hours. There was a huge range of different departments I was covering on call. So in theory, if a locum comes up on any of those, I would actually be quite comfortable taking that locum. And then finally now, as I approach the transition to F2, I'm in my acute medicine block. So that's the acute take, the medical decisions unit. I could work there if I wanted, because I'm very used to how that department works. And I'm now working in clinical pharmacology and toxicology, so I could work here as well. And just from F1, that's a huge number of potential locums that I could pick up if I needed the money. And then the last thing to say, some practical advice that I want to close with, is make sure you're being compensated fairly for the work that you're doing. What I mean practically is do not accept substandard locum rates. Have a fixed idea in mind of the minimum price you feel that your medical labour is worth. And for an F1, I would recommend that no less than £30–35 an hour at a minimum is worth taking. Because remember that locum rates are effectively set by the minimum price that someone is willing to accept for their work. So if you accept a substandard rate, it sets the new price for accepted work lower than it would have been otherwise. Trusts have to escalate to higher and higher rates if nobody takes the locum. So don't be bullied or pressured into accepting lower rates. Just simply walk away and say, no, unless you pay me £40 an hour for this shift, I'm not interested. The worst they can say is no. Some places will tell you off for negotiating, but it's their loss. If they don't meet your price, they don't get a doctor. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Please remember to hit that like button for me, leave a comment, subscribe. I'll leave some relevant articles from groups like the BMA and the medico-legal providers down in the description below, so make sure you go and have a look through those, and you can leave any questions down in the comments. Hope you're all doing really well, take care, and I'll see you next time.